What's happening, folks? On the replay, because the live people ain't got the notifications to get in here yet. Gonna wait a little bit, let some people's follow, and we'll get rolling. Everybody's having a fantastic Sunday here for 13/25. It's a good day. It's a good day. What up, Andrew? How you doing, brother? Yes, I got my Transformers. I'm a little kid. Saw it in the store. It was like $2. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying that. It's gonna happen. I did something for today that I like never do for YouTube's is I wrote down like stuff I want to actually talk about. Brother, it's been a day, man. Got up and we started our painting and stuff out in the family room, theater room, bar area yesterday and last evening and kept working on it as I was sending you pictures. But yeah, we got all the trim for the most part done. We have like two main areas we have to do over by the TV and we're not getting to that until it's time to tear everything out, get rid of all the crap, and then actually get the wall up and all that kind of stuff. Get that wood up. But yeah, we'll get it done here eventually. It's just one step at a time, little bit by little bit. Is that painting, man? Doing all the trim and stuff like that starts cramping up the hands. So we gotta take it in stride. Demo man, welcome, sir. Got the apple juice today. But yeah, I got some stuff here to actually talk about here today and have conversations. Stuff just to be keeping in your head. I was actually just watching Grunt Proof's video on patrolling, and I'm like, my dude. I've covered some of that stuff on the podcast in as much as I can talk about. Can't really do. I don't have the way to do all the video fancy edits with all the graphics and stuff. I just talk about that stuff, but it's worth talking about because it's stuff that the everyday man and the minute man should know. Pretty important to know that kind of stuff. So he's done the video about it, so go check out his video. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. So how is everybody else's days going? Yeah, he's a good dude to follow for the he's a good dude to follow for that kind of stuff. I mean, he's got crack the whip. Him and PNW Gorilla, they both like fat shaming us and fitness shaming us, as it would be. But no, my next fitness goal is to continue losing the gut and get strength back, bulk back up, keep speed up. I'm not one of these guys. I don't want to be huge and swole. I just want to be stronger and faster. So beer, whiskey, and grilling in a few hours. Got the rose in. Good. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna get into later. Got my laundry done. Got my. Here's the score. I was talking to ACR when I literally got this stuff, but yeah, here's the God's Plat I got. Brand new, true spec, M81, two tops, one pair of pants, fit perfectly. Got it for like $20. Hit up the Salve Army and I'm just huge, not in a good way. Well, we'll let DJ talk about that. Yeah, whenever I was looking I was looking at those vests and I'm like, I'd have to wear a 3XL to be able to wear one of those, dude. I'm like laughing so hard. I'm like, what the hell? Gotcha demo. Yeah, next weekend we're gonna have that. Um, daughter, son-in-law, and the grandbaby, one and the one that's being baked, are coming up for Easter. And my son-in-law is a big WWE fan, so we're gonna throw on WrestleMania down here in the big screen and watch it, and hang out, have some family time, and spend some time with the little Denny. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that next weekend. Oh, you're talking about how you just fat. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, better than your 6X. I'm only 3X is smaller. But yeah, when I saw that vest in Salvation Army, I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I like went over to it. And I'm like, extra medium. I'm like, "Yeah, never gonna fit." I'm like a mosquito. I'm like a bull, chipmunk. I sent you that meme about being hung like a horse. That was a funny one. One of my buddies sent that to me. And a lot of times it's not so much about the weight, it's about the size. It's the inches and how the clothes fit versus how much weight you're carrying. A horse fly. But I've gone from 206 down to 190, so 16 pounds. I float in around there. Um, I gotta say it's great work losing 35 in a year. Um, I'm floating in around 190. Um, I'd like to get down to 180 and rechange my shape a bit, get more get more swole, little bit, not a whole lot of it. But yeah, waiting for the rest of the folks to jump in here so I can dive into the topic-ish stuff. But hey man, losing two sizes is huge. Not It's a huge accomplishment. Say 190. That's a good number there. Dude, 180 is what I weighed in high school. Um, I was a lot different shape than I was back then. When I went and joined the army, I was 180, and then I went down to like 150, 145, 150, somewhere in there, and it was like I did not feel good at all. I had to put on some weight when I got out, and I fought at 155. So twin is here. Welcome, brother. This apple juice is for you, brother. Yeah, dude, boot was no joke. Um, Calorie deprived, and you're basically just burning all your fat stores in some muscle. And whew, mm, it's not a fun time, but it's a good time. Man, all got the grandbaby. Demo's getting ready to get his, and I get mine next weekend. Really looking forward to that. Squishing the little squish. Gonna be gonna be a good time. That and get to bond with the son-in-law over WrestleMania. I'm not a big wrestling fan. I used to be into the wrestling back in the '80s and stuff, and got into the, I guess you'd say, the Attitude Era, like Stone Cold, The Rock, um, Hardy Boys, and all those guys. Yeah, I got it. I was into it back then. Me and my buddies used to get together at the one sports bar and get food and hang out and watch. And they had TVs at every single booth, so it was kind of cool. Then they had the big screens all around the place. But yeah, we used to get together. There was more of us, more thing of us getting together and hanging out. Something we did versus watching the whole event. But I was into it a little bit back then. But kids have kind of gotten me back into it a little bit. I know it's scripted. I know the story and everything. I know it's all, scripted and whatnot, but the athleticism is real. Um, the blood, I know they're going nicking themselves and stuff, but running through a quick shower. Yeah, you stank. You stank. That's nasty. But not enjoying the image. Not even gonna picture it. Deleted. But no, I'll get to spend some time with those guys watching the wrestling next weekend. And I gotta say, I'm a fan of like Jay Uso. I really like Jay Uso. Um, I do like Cody Rhodes. Um, I like Damian Priest, and I like Rhea Ripley. Those are like, and of course Ray. The fact that Rey Mysterio is still doing it after all this time, like Rey Mysterio and I are like the same age, and he's still getting it like that. So hats off to Ray. But yeah, I like watching some of that stuff, but just as entertainment. I guess that's my circus. If I had one, would be watching wrestling with the kids like once a month or once every few months. But yes, folks. Well, I've been busy doing painting with the wife. We're getting the family room, theater room, bar area, this end of the basement all finished up. She painted my cave door. Um, doing the same color as my backboard right here. It's called Raven Wing or Battleship Gray, whatever you want to call it. Raven Wing just sounds cool. So yeah, we ended up painting all our trim and my door and all that kind of stuff, Raven Wing accent. And the walls are like what they call agreeable gray. It's like white with like a slightest little tinge of like a gray to it. Really cool looking. Um, and then we're doing an accent wall over there where the TV mounts up to the wall, upgrading from a 75 to an 80 and putting in surround sound and doing all that kind of stuff, getting some new shelving units versus just stand up cabinet or shelving units and stuff, actually doing some nice stuff. So we're in the process of doing all that and remodeling and or renovating, renewing, whatever you want to call it. All that out there. I'm going to go through after it's all said and done with all the paint and everything. Then I'm redoing all the electrical, adding some outlets, doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're in the middle of doing that. So, and it's been a slow project. You do so much and then stop because life. Do so much and stop because of life. And I think the last section we're going to get to is doing the bar, painting that up and getting shelves and all that kind of stuff and displaying my bottles. And she's getting me like this. I have this really cool old school like lantern kind of thing, like farm lantern, milk house lantern that I'm going to put up over there. And then she's getting another LED like wax melter lantern thing to go over on a new stand we put together here the other day. But yeah, we're in the middle of doing all that out there. Now that I got the truck thing over with for now, I will have to do some more work on the truck here in a few weeks. But um, just clean up stuff. Running boards get all douched up with the salt slurry mixture and running back and forth to work. Having coal buckets running that route all the time tends to rust out your vehicles and your running boards. I have really nice running boards I really like. So I'm going to strip those off, take those off, strip them down, and re-rhino line them here in a couple weeks. So that should be fun. That should be fun. So yeah, good times, good times, good times. Always something to do. There's always something to do. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess. I guess. ACR, I hope you're not playing Soapy Worm in the shower. And if you are, I hope you're safe. If you do slip and fall, remember, don't grab the water because you're not gonna get anything there. You're just gonna. Yep. The old Rust Belt, man. I mean, up here in Appalachia, Stan, it's bad enough. Like if you go out east, eastern part of the state, they don't have as many mountains. Um, Out towards like Harrisburg and Lancaster, they don't have the mountains. You get up in here around Johnstown, Somerset, Pittsburgh, Greensburg, Indiana. We got the mountains up here, so they tend to like salt things way heavier. And whew, yeah, if you're in Northeast Ohio, you get it. Up in there around Erie, they get hit really good too. So especially being off the lake, you get that lake effect snow and all that crap. No, I'm good down here in the southern part of the state. I'm happy. I mean, we're like half hour away from the Maryland border, like 45 minutes away from West Virginia. So it's kind of cool being down here, nestled in the top end of Appalachia, Stan. I mean, being of Norse descent, I like the fact that I'm in northern Appalachia, southern part of Pennsylvania, but northern part of Appalachia. Don't have to worry about the other types of weathers that happen down that way, as I'm sure Twin will speak to. Yeah, dude. When I lived up in the Northwest, up in the high desert where Krista is, I used to like all the vehicles there, like they get sandblasted. So your paint finish and all that crap and your glass gets like pitted up and stuff like that, and you get pretty hit with sand with the windstorms and stuff, but dust storms. But like the frames and like rust really wasn't that big of a deal up there because everything was like desert, high desert to the eastern part of the state, so it was all dry. I mean, even with like the fog and the rain and the freezing fog and all that kind of stuff, they didn't really salt a lot. And over in the passes, they weren't really using salt; they were using more cinders and more traction than anything. And yeah, vehicles weren't really rusting up there. But I come back here and it's just like everything was rusting apart. Like my old Ranger I talked about before, rust is what took it out. I know my truck's 11 years old, but it's holding up really well. I got to get under there and do some preventative stuff, but I'm going to try and keep that thing as long as I possibly can. 'Cause I love that truck. I love it. But yeah, whenever you get used cars across state lines, it's like, oh, what am I getting into? At least if you're getting something from your area, you know what to look for. If you get it from another area, you don't know what their issues are they may have that affect vehicles. Squeaky clean. That was a fast shower, dude. Yep. Rust from the top down. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? I mean, you get that clear coat starts bubbling and fading out. That's what happened to my Jeep. The roof started clear coat came off. So when I get it repainted, I'm just doing the whole thing. I'm not worrying about like whatever. I'm just gonna get the whole thing redone and get super extra freaking thick clear coat ceramic crap on it. Because frankly, I don't want to have to get it painted again in my lifetime, or as long as I have it, whatever. But so how squeaky clean? I mean, is it? Hard to run out when I listen to a bunch of dudes. Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Oh shoot, dude, white bath. Hey, I've been there, done that many times. That's why I carry like I got crap from somebody in one of my videos previous when I was breaking down like I saw packs or ruck packs or whatever, um, of having antibacterial wipes. And I'm like, I'm not wiping my crack with those things. I have other wipes in there. I mean, like, okay, it should be obvious you're carrying some kind of crevice cleaning implements. I'm not using antibacterial wipes for the nethers. It's not, no, no. If I'm having to like wipe out cookware and stuff like that, I still need to be able to clean that kind of stuff. Not just like run it through the dirty water and then no, I'm actually wiping stuff down, utensils and things like that. I'm cleaning stuff. Some people like don't. Their mind brains must not work. The old sea shower, the old Navy showers, my dad used to call it. Wash rag and wipe it all down. How did my neighbor being Air Force, she always say bits and tits. Yeah, big dudes do definitely use more soap, demo. I will give you that, brother. Definitely use more soap. They don't drop it. How do you guys pick up liquid soap out on the water? Like you drop the soap in the shower. How do you pick up the liquid soap? I mean, you're down there a lot longer, I'm sure. They used to say they drop the soap, they kick it to the corner, and then back yourself into the corner, and then pick it up. But hopefully, some more people join us here to discuss this stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to discuss it with you guys. And if that's the case, that's the case. I need to give him a couple more minutes because I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting. Neither is the apple juice. Oh man. Well, I've given them 23 minutes to join. I think folks should have joined by now. So I'm going to get into it and discuss it with you, gentlemen. You fine men of culture. So, do you guys get your $5,000 Doge checks yet? No, they are bad Americans, ACR. They are bad. What do you think I call the people who follow my channels silly Sallies? No, no, I didn't get mine either. I didn't get mine either. You hear anything about the audit on Fort Knox and all the gold? I haven't. Have a good one, Demo Man. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the grandbaby time, and we'll catch you on the flip side, dude. No, so no, audit on Fort Knox, the gold, and no, I haven't heard anything on that. Hmm, interesting. DHS Barbie. She's been promoting, or Christy Nome has been promoting and pushing this whole draconian and unconstitutional real ID. Got to get your real ID to domestically travel with an air fly. Got to get your real ID by May 7th, which was part of the Patriot Act that was put in, actually also unconstitutional. Um, yeah, you got to get your real ID by May 7th if you want to fly here domestically. However, I did say it was unconstitutional. And yeah, might want to look at your Fifth Amendment, 14th. Look at was it article? I'm not a Roman numeral guy, but Article IV of the Constitution. It's a matter of the Supreme Court looked at everything before and said it actually impedes your right of liberty to do and to travel for purposes. Yeah, the Supreme Court had already ruled on that. Now they're kicking it back in to wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. It's completely unconstitutional to do that, and literally you have to go through every aspect of your life and all your important documents, your social security, your medical stuff gets willed into it, believe it or not. All of your IDs of like driver's license, your like marriage license, your birth certificate, any passports you have, everything gets rolled into one and it gets a gold star. Where have we heard this before in history? How'd that work out? Yeah, not so good now, didn't it? But speaking of Christy Nome, what's her deal anyway? Like, it must be like she keeps changing, like, as I call her DHS Barbie, because one time she's wearing the plate carrier and holding the rifle and pointing it right at dude's head. Next time she's all kitted up and we're going out to bust people with her hair all did and her nails and her makeup all done. And then she's dressed up as a cowgirl. Yeah, renewed your driver's license, had to provide your birth certificate. Yeah, it's BS. You've had your driver's license. You've already provided that information. I mean, I'm not a fan of birth certificates. I'm not a fan of social security cards and all that kind of crap. I'm not a fan of any of it. Straight up ID. This is who I am. I am who I am. I have bills in my name. I own a house. I own vehicles. I have all these other things that are all getting brought into this one type of card. That's You don't have an ID unless you have a real ID, right? But yeah, DHS Barbie, man, she's just got to dress up for whatever occasion, wherever she goes, whatever she does. It's like a something for photo ops or for like media coverage. Like, get bent. You're not doing work. You're just literally going out and parading around and playing pretend. Chick was totally unqualified for that position. Exactly. All that are more ways to have your identity stolen, but they're going to have it all in one convenient place that has RFID. So make sure you have an RFID wallet if you have a real ID. But it has RFID, and we all know the dangers of RFID. Easier to because of the invaders, the illegals here. We have to have real IDs because the government previously, and still under Trump also, had been issuing IDs to the illegals coming across the border. So that's how we can tell Americans from non-Americans is by the real ID. Get bent. That ain't true. It's just another way for everybody to be able to get their everybody governmentally to get their hooks into you. Yep. One place easier for hackers, one place easier for NGOs for tracking. You think you think that real ID is not going to be able to track you wherever you go? Okay, you're going to do hood rat shit and you leave one of these behind. Leave it at home. But you can have your wallet so you can buy stuff and do things in commerce, right? But you have that real ID that's going to broadcast just the same. As you walk into a store, they can have a sniffer there to tell what store you walk into, where you walk into it. Super easy. Just the same as, ding dong when you walk in. Yeah, it could be picking up your location off that thing. Go to a gas pump, but don't go into the store. You go into a restaurant, you go into whatever. If you pass checkpoints along the road, with all the cameras and everything else and all the different tech they have out there, it's gonna find you. I'm gonna get into that demo man, Don. I'm gonna get into that. Um, yeah, enjoy that surprise drone. That's literally it. You have the R135. R135 is a spy bird. That bird, as it's flying at altitude, can pick up an object the size of a soccer ball and track it from over like 300 miles away. So you mean to tell me they can't fly something like that up and be able to pick up who's where with that? All it has to do is ping a signal off of it and it report back. You have your terrain mapping done for who's where and what and how they commute and so on. So, something to keep in mind, folks. Something to keep in mind. That real ID, as Demo Man said, it does tie into the digital currency. It does. It totally does. But my next order I'm talking about here, try and avoid the real ID if you can. Yeah, granted, you're not going to be able to fly, but I guarantee you enough people are not going to be able to fly when they need to. There's going to be class action lawsuits against the government, which there should. Class action and civil lawsuits against the government about that. So keep that in your thinker there, folks. Um, Next up here on the list, I got the tariffs. We have the tariffs getting instituted, and then the markets start crashing, right? Then what do? They pumped in like 2.4 or 2.7 trillion dollars. I kind of started talking about this the other night when ACR and I were testing out the live stuff. They pump in that money into the markets to prop them up. Then the next day, once that takes effect, then they claim everything's green and the markets are soaring and everything's good. Well, you just lost how many billion or trillion dollars and you threw a couple trillion into it. Of course it's going to look better, you freaking mooks. Of course it's going to look better. You just artificially manipulated the network and the market. You dumbass. So it's they're playing games with the financials. As it tanks, they try to get you to go to things like crypto, digital currency, which I have to have an online presence to be able to use that currency, right? And I'll get into the crypto specifically here in a little bit, but you have to have an online presence to utilize that currency in any form because it is a web based or online computer digital currency. Now, that currency is only good if you can access it on the web, online, through an app, something that ties you to these here interwebs. Interesting. Yeah, the market tank. They let it tank so far. Then they've started propping it up. But you have all this other stuff going on that most people don't know about because they only pay attention to what Fox News tells them. They only pay attention to what RSBN tells them. They only pay attention to what Newsmax tells them, or CNN, or ABC, or MSN, or whoever. Pick your flavor. They're all part of the Mockingbird. People don't get that. You should have seen years gone by now all these reports, and they're literally, whether you watch NBC, Fox, ABC, CBS, CNN, doesn't matter. They're all literally saying the same thing at different times with different people saying it. So it seems different. They might use a couple different video effects or a couple different graphics, but it all ends up being the same. All part of Project Mockingbird. Steady up on that. I think it's kind of funny. I've talked about the Pharisees on the podcast. Um, I think it's funny that more juice have been appointed to the government in government positions by Trump just this past week after all of that instability with the market, with the tariffs, with all of that kind of stuff going on over here. He's appointing more of those guys to government. I thought whenever the campaigning was going on that government was supposed to get smaller and Doge efficiency was supposed to go in and make things more efficient. Instead, you have Cash Patel and a few others and Trump and all them flying on taxpayer dollars to go to the UFC last night. Where's Doge reporting on that? Where's that? No, that's fine. That's fine. The tariffs. Oh, we're going to take and throw these tariffs on all these different countries and all this different stuff, except the Apple stuff that's made in China and the tech stuff that comes from China and the chips. And wait, you're pushing crypto, the market tanks, then it gets propped back up. You're pouring more juice. Yeah, I know what I said. The government, but then you're going to hold off the tariffs on the tech. Hmm. Hmm. That's a great point, Demo. And what he said, for those just watching live or watching the replay, is all these things are done gradually over time so that each generation comes up thinking that it's normal. Exactly that. Exactly that. Kids nowadays, like my daughters, they could not figure out how to program a VCR. My son, close to 30, he could not figure out how to program a VCR. But they can go whiz bang through one of these things, computer. They can whiz bang through all that stuff, but they couldn't program a VCR. They couldn't figure out how to make a call on a rotary phone. Hmm. Totally agree. Totally agree. It's just generationally gaslighting, for lack of better terms, generationally gaslighting people. Um, I will say something here that changed subject a little bit. Modern Frontiersman. I don't know if you'll ever see this. I don't know. I love your stuff. I would love to have conversations with you, brother. He just dropped an awesome video that I think um, everybody should listen to. It is very important to listen to what he has to say. I have said the same thing on my podcasts. Um, his video lines up with what I covered weeks ago on the Tin Man TNA podcast on Spotify. Might be worth listening to both of us on this subject. And the subject was of like things feeling off and like something's not right, and how morality is kind of taking an exit ramp. And there's darker forces at work here. Um, if he's saying the same thing that I was saying a few weeks ago, and I've been saying for quite a while, go back and listen to all the way back to episode 1 and go back to the Warrior Collective. Been saying the same thing for years now. Might be worth listening to what us guys are saying. Um, I will say season 3 is going to be kicking off here in 2 weeks, FYI. I'm putting a hold on doing the recording. Um, it's just because I want to observe Easter, or rather, as I like to say, um, Resurrection Day. Um, I'm holding off, but when I kick back in and get back in, strap in that harness because it's going to be one heck of a ride. Um, Demo. Cheers to you, brother. Um, where do we hear of wars and rumors of wars? Yeah, the ultimate tactical and survival manual. So might be wise to frequently visit that field guide of life. Just saying. Just saying. Um, I know we all live in different climates and different areas, but be prepared and set up to deal with the next bipolar wet weather season. Um, ours here has no clue what it's doing. Like it's never weathered before. It's like trying to figure out whether it wants to be winter or summer or spring or something in between, whatever that may be, fall. It has no idea what it wants to do right now. So be prepared for the crazy weather. I would look for there to be bigger storms spring up here fairly soon. Just put a pin in that one, stick it up. I got a feeling down here in the gut we're gonna see something. Um, the live stream test by me and Mr. ACR, figure out things so we can do like a group show. Um, I'm chalking that up as a success. Okay. Um, so just so you guys know, you're going to be seeing more of us clowns here in the future. Um, next Sunday, I am not going to be doing a live stream here. Um, an observation of Resurrection Day. Take the time with your family and friends. Give thanks where it's due. Um, we'll take a second to welcome the new subscribers. Um, welcome to the masquerade. Um, and thank you for those of you who are already showing love to the channel and all my silly sallies from before. I appreciate all the love and support. Um, and I've said it before, and I will say it again. No matter how big any of my channels get, no matter how big this or the Spotify gets or any of that stuff, I am not going to monetize anything ever. I don't care if I have like 4.1 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm not going to monetize. Um, I'm never going to do paid subscriptions for anything. Um, anything I do, no, I'm not doing any of that. I want to make no money from the content I make and put out here. Um, when my business does launch full on, and Tin Man Tactical and Apparel is full on and ready and doing full business, all I ask is folks to remember old Tin Man, Metal, me, Metal, and when you need gear, that kind of stuff, share my work with others who may benefit. When it comes to the podcast, share other to others that may need to learn or should know things, which there's a lot of people that need to learn things. Um, make sure you get over to the podcast on Spotify for the spicier info that I drop, not here on YouTube's. Getting a little bit spicier, like maybe like a iodized salt or sea salt today, but over there I go full on freaking ghost pepper and reaper. I go full on over there, as ACR and some of the others that have listened to the podcast on here can tell you. I go there and the gloves come off and I go to it. I also have the Minuteman Cool Guy stuff I talk about over there more so than here on YouTube's. Um, while you're there, I would appreciate you dropping a 5-star review. Um, make sure you have the notifications on there, just like here on YouTube. Some people probably aren't on here because they didn't get the notification. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you know when I drop a new episode over there. And for all the content creators on here, make sure you are clicking that bell for all notifications. That way, whenever any of us drop anything, you actually do get notified. Hey, dummy put something out. Maybe I should watch it. Maybe I should listen. Otherwise, You're not going to know because sometimes I release a bonus episode, or somebody might have a regular schedule for their videos here on YouTube's, but they might release something else. So make sure you have all notifications checked there. Um, so gonna get into the crypto thing here. Okay. I'm gonna need like to get rid of the chew, break out the water, get the hydration on board, and I'm gonna have to get the apple juice for this. Unlike the other guys that do this stuff, I don't have a Discord. I put all my stuff in the description of the channel. So if you want to get in touch with me, tinman.tactical.apparel@gmail. It's right there in my description of the channel. So I just don't do the Discords. Um, okay. So crypto and the Trump spiracy. I'm calling it the Trump spiracy. Okay. Not sure if you folks were aware, but Trump is pushing into crypto and rather heavily. His family, because he can't do it because he is currently POTUS, his family is pushing into Binance, one of the types of crypto that is out there. They're really leaning into it heavily. Normally, whenever your market goes down, your gold goes up, your silver goes up, because silver, believe it or not, is actually the people's currency. It is what we use throughout time, and it's more valuable to us as a human. Medical properties, tech properties. I mean, the list goes on and on. But just throwing those two out there for now. Um, the silver is the people's currency. So when we buy and trade things, we used to do it with silver coins, silver dollars, silver this, silver that. It was always silver because gold was like the yeah, it's cool, but it's gold, whatever. It's, we used to mine gold and stuff like that. And the prospectors, they went nuts over that stuff because they held it in a higher regard than silver. But silver was the working man's currency. And digging into the history of it, that's what I've established. Just the summation of it is silver was the working man's currency. Um, that booze and bullets and food trade, anything to barter and trade with, and silver was the currency that was used, the actual physical precious metal that was used more widely than gold. Um, the silver, oddly enough, during the tanks has dropped in value. What? But gold went up. Then gold came back down as soon as the market went back up. So tell me they're manipulating the markets without telling me they're manipulating all the markets and everything. Um, when it comes to crypto, I've done a deep dive into crypto and what it's about, and I've kind of summed it all up here, um, to make it as simple as possible to understand. Okay. When it comes down to it, crypto is based off of nothing but a perceived value. Demo, take her easy, brother. Check this out in replay so you can get the rest of this. All right, brother. Um, gonna come out to the 48-minute mark here so I can keep going. All right, just remember 48-minute mark. Um, crypto is based on nothing except perceived value. Um, apparently, it takes tons of power to mine it. It takes a ton of CPU might to be able to mine it. Takes a lot of internet bandwidth too to mine this fake currency. So let's look at that little aspect, okay? The tech industry benefits from crypto. Your computers, your internet, you got to have a substantial CPU to be able to mine, or substantial servers to be able to mine. Reaper was telling me a story here a while back of somebody he knows that has a crypto mine, They took a storage shed out back of their house and they put in AC and climate control and all that kind of stuff. And they pumped out internet to this place and basically 200 amp service to their freaking storage shed and set up racks with servers and switch gear and all that stuff to make a legitimate crypto mine in their backyard. And dude was making a shit ton of money theoretically from this crypto mine shed in his backyard, enough to the point that he ended up doing a second one. So he had Reaper come help him terminate wires and get all the network stuff done because that's what Reaper does for a living. Well, you're making money theoretically. Theoretically, it's US dollars, fiat currency, not gold backed currency, not backed by anything, just other than the Federal Reserve saying, hey, which is neither federal nor does it reserve anything, saying, yes, this dollar is worth $1. Cool. $1 of what? $1 of flour, $1 of grass, $1 of material fabric, $1 wood is like what is it a dollar worth, right? So you have that fake currency backed by a US dollar amount. Theoretically, because you can exchange it online, yet again, web presence, you can exchange it online for whatever tangible physical currency there is. Okay. So we got the tech industry benefiting from all the computers and all the stuff you need to do that. Then you have the internet people, your HSI, your high speed internet providers, your ISPs, internet service providers, benefiting from you upgrading your internets to be able to handle doing the mining, to sniff out for a fraction of a Bitcoin or a Dogecoin or whatever, Binance or whatever cockamamie one they have that they're going after. So then you got the power companies on the back of it because it takes a lot of power to provide electricity to these mines. It's an air quote here, as you see. So the power companies are charging per kilowatt hour. Well, once you hit a certain kilowatt hour, then they charge more, or they can up their rates because there's more of a draw on the grid. Remember, I work in the grid. That's what I do. So they can charge more per kilowatt hour for consumption. Okay. So you can trade this crypto for gold, for US dollar, for whatever. So you fight online with your servers to find fractions of a made up currency that's only online that you can get like a tenth of a coin or a thousandth of a coin or whatever, because the coin has a perceived value. Who set the perceived value? Bitcoins are rare, so they're worth more. Or this one's what. Let me get into that here in a second. So here's my breakdown of it, of how it works. Okay, I'm going to start my own fake money based on a grain of sand, but not any grain of sand. It's the only grain of sand that I have. The only grain, because it's metals grain. So we're going to have metal grain sand currency. It's the only grain of sand I have, but you can have some of it, but it's going to be super expensive for you to get any of it. And so there's only one, I say that it's worth more than anybody else's because it's the one I made and it's the only one. So you're going to have to take and get fractions of that grain of sand to be able to do anything, to make anything from it. Huh. Kind of seems like a freaking scheme to me. So my people, they've basically, to sum this up for us 80s and 90s kids, they basically made a Pog, milk caps, and Tamagotchi. Remember the little digital pets, the little Tamagotchis? Yeah. They've made a Pogs, milk caps, and Tamagotchi currency, and they've fooled the world into thinking that, yes, this is a great thing to do. We need to do this. This is, it's digital. They can't, shit, they can't trace it. It's got an online presence. Of course, they're tracing every little aspect of it. How does the real ID and the digital ID and the digital currency come together? Let me break it down for you here. So you've got the real ID that has your personal information, all of it. You have the digital currency that is your financial. Some point they're going to require the real ID to get your digital currency out of the mines or whatever it is in the digital wallet. Okay. You can save this stuff offline, from what I understand, from what one of my buddies was telling me. You can actually save this stuff offline so it's not subject to whatever. You can download it into a offline wallet. But to use it, you have to put it back online to use it. It's not like I can walk into the corner store and buy a gallon of milk with Bitcoin. It's not, or Doge or Binance or any of it. But if they push a digital currency onto the people, then, oh yeah, I can use it. Hmm. Central bank digital currency. Where have we heard this? I don't care what kind of, whether you're Doge, your Binance, your Bitcoin, whatever it is. It's all digital currency. It's all the same. It's all digital in a marketplace that sells the same thing. It's the same thing, regardless. So I'm supposed to believe that this digital currency isn't going to be centrally controlled. I'm supposed to believe that this real ID is not going to be corrupted and hacked, because we all know that the little g, government, hasn't been hacked, their signal hasn't been compromised, they didn't have server shutdowns and stuff like that this past year, didn't have all kinds of issues. No, they never get attacked. So we're gonna just blindly believe that everything's gonna be okay, that the real ID is gonna be good and the digital currency is gonna be good. Well, whenever this administration promotes this stuff, the crowds out there go, "Yay! It's great! It's awesome! We can't wait to get it!" Gluck gluck gluck. But whenever the other administration would say that, it's terrible, it's bad, it's the NWO, it's the Agenda 2030. Look into it. It is. It is. But you'll accept it when it comes from this guy versus not accepting it when it comes from this guy. Got to have a paradigm shift there, folks. It's the same thing, it's just rebranded. The ID is going to lead to the fact of you're tracked, you're traced, everything's there. It's very susceptible to be compromised. That thing is going to be traced to this digital stuff that, guess what? You can't get this without this. You can't get this without that. What a way to put our nuts in a ringer, huh? Yeah, probably best to avoid every last bit of that versus, I don't know, getting things that you actually need. getting things that actually sustain life, getting things that you can actually trade in commerce with real people and real items that aren't kept on a server somewhere that you had to mine a fraction of a coin to make a buck. But is it worth a dollar? If the dollar tanks, remember I said about propping up the market. If the market, which it falls and it fails, and that's a whole scam in and of itself. But if that falls, then the US dollar is worth nothing. What's your stupid digital currency going to be worth, right? Oh, I can trade it, but metal, I can trade it for pesos, or I can trade it for loonies. I can trade it for a Canadian dollar. I can trade it for a euro. I can trade it for a yen. I can trade it. How are you going to make your car payment or your house payment with yen? How are you going to make a car payment or a house payment or buy food with rupees? You're trading outside the country's currency. If the currency tanks, you're SOL, because those financial institutions, they're not just going to accept anything, and they're not just going to say, "Oh yeah, we'll take your Bitcoin." Food for thought, just food for thought. But it all does tie together, and it's a matter of, if one side of that shitbird, the left wing, tried to promote it, you call it evil. If the right side of the right wing of the shitbird promotes it, then you say it's fantastic and it's the best ever, and that's what we need to do because Cheeto Daddy said so. Use that mind brain. Think about it. I know some people out there have two brain cells and they're fighting over third place, or one side of their brain's made of pudding and the other one have two brain cells and one's lost and the other one's out looking for it and he's lost too. Common sense. Common sense, folks. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. So yeah, I was gonna dive into this, and I'm like I said, I'm like I solid on this compared to where I go on the podcast, but it's something that needs to be said because here's another platform that I can speak about it. Yeah, like ACR said, it's real talk. It's real. But every day when I get on this stupid Black Mirror, I can see the decline, not just of the United States, but of the world right there. It's not gloom and doom talk. It's reality. Like you said, real talk. It's reality. Having the most tricked out, having the 15th most tricked out guys, the this, that, and the other, and having all this and all that don't mean crap, dude. You can go and you can buy the most high end Gucci gear. You can go and get the most training on a range and how to run guns. That's awesome and that's cool. And you should do training with guns and have substantial stuff that's going to last you through the fall. Not the fall season, but the fall of mankind. But you shouldn't take and forsake your family and your food and your medical and your water and your well being in your domicile, your modes of transportation, your communications, your sustainment moving forward for the sake of a $5,000 stupid rifle that's going to be like the other 10 you have. Oh, I have to get the coolest, newest thing. No, you don't. I don't care if you have they get crapped on, but I don't care if you have an Anderson. I don't care if you have a Bear Creek. I don't care if you have a Smith and Wesson M&P 15. I don't care what you have. As long as you have it and you're doing what you need to do your due diligence, to be good with it. I don't care. I don't like them. I don't like them. I think they're dumb because I've shot plenty of them and I know they kind of suck. But if you have a high point and that's what you got, rock on, brother. Do your practice with it. Do your dry fires, do your draws, do all your stuff with that stupid freaking high point. Practice it. Be good with that stupid high point. Exactly as ACR said. Stop getting hung up on your high end shit and buy a bunch of stuff just to let it sit in a closet. The stuff back here, I use this stuff. Like I just did in my ready up video. I had my radio on my DMR rig, my patrol rig, my DM rig, because I was using it. I didn't move it back over to the plate carrier. I normally keep it on the plate carrier because I'll need it quicker, but I just sticked around with it a few days ago, was doing some stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I just leave it on there. Normally keep it on the plate carrier so that way it's quicker and easier to get out the door. I had somebody make a comment on that video, and I removed the comment because it was rather off color, saying, we never practice this stuff in the military. You're right. We never practice this stuff in the military. I concur. We never did. But we're not military. We're not military. As to quote Jay, the Modern Minuteman, we are professional citizens. Or, I mean, Wrangler Star, professional homeowner, right? We have to be ready for whatever, whenever, where. It's not like the siren goes off and we know it's time to roll in and get kitted up in the ready room and do all this. No, we don't have that. We'll be at work. We'll be at the grocery store. More than likely, we'll be at work. Hence why we need to have like get home bags and stuff like that in case we need to get home, some type of get home kit or a possibilities kit for whatever possibly might happen, as my older brother would say. We have to be ready. So we don't practice this stuff because we didn't do it in the military. So we practice this stuff now because we aren't the military. We practice this stuff so we can be ready for whatever happens whenever it happens. And the dude went on to say, this is just freaking ridiculous. Stop doing it. This is what I say to you, dude. You go ahead and don't do it, right? You don't do it. So whenever the hammer falls, and it will fall. So when the hammer falls, you aren't practiced up that you can get a full kit on in 2 minutes and 25 seconds and better be ready to defend your family from whatever may come in that element of things. Okay, you don't do it. See what happens. See what happens. Don't have kit. Don't do anything. Don't. I don't care. It's up to you. You make your call. It's your house. You live in your house and you run your house as you see fit. I will not tell you how to run your house. But as for me and mine, we practice that stuff. As for me and mine, we practice there's a fire, you got to get out. We practice, hey, a water freaking pipe broke 20 minutes away and I got to haul butt over there and handle that. We practice fuel leak in my truck. What do I do? We practice, hey, we have to fix this. We have to fix that. We have to do this. We have to do that. We practice this stuff. We talk about this stuff. We have these discussions. Are we living in paranoia? No. But is it better to have some kind of foresight into when something bad does happen that you can be ready for it? Yeah, I'll take that any day over, oh, we didn't drill it in the military, so it's just ridiculous. Eat it. Eat it. You know what? I'm going to keep practicing. I'm going to shave time off that 225 and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. You keep doing what you're doing. And when the hammer falls, if we can, we'll come back here and we'll have a conversation about it and say, yeah, I bet there's probably going to be only one of us coming back to have that conversation. Bringing the military aspect into things, exactly, ACR. All about being better and being prepared. Something that was instilled in me when I was living the military life was the 6 P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. It's part of my 6 P's. I base a lot of what I do on the six P's because it's true to life. Yeah, it meant something in the military, but it means even more so in normal life. We hear the improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's true whenever SHTF. That is so true in those instances because a lot of times you have to improvise, adapt, and overcome. But if you follow the six P's, Bobby B, welcome, brother. You follow the six P's, you're not going to have to improvise as much. You're not going to have to adapt as much. You're going to have less that you're going to have to overcome. You're going to have a lot easier time dealing with whatever situation if you have prepared for said situations. Even if you mentally mind game the stuff, you're going to have a better chance than those who have not. Exactly, ACR. You're not going to have to struggle nearly as much. You're not going to be riding the struggle bus. You're going to be basically driving the results train, the results train versus a struggle bus. I think that's a new thing. I like that. The results train. Ride the results rails. Whew. Wow. This is hilarious. I got a text here, which is I didn't recognize this. That's why I wanted to look at it. Legal enforcement pending toll delinquency. You are at risk of legal and DMV action. Resolve your unpaid toll by April 14th or face PennDOT registration, suspension, collection actions, court costs, license registration holds, police impoundment of your vehicle. Make your payment now. Somebody was like, I don't care. I want to reply in the most epic way. I want to reply to this scammer in the most epic way. This is Agent Simmons of Sector 7. I have ran a trace of this and have a team of agents inbound to your location. Please be aware scamming please be aware that scamming the public is a this is cool. What up, Medica? Welcome. Glad to see you, my friend. Guys, if you aren't subscribed to Medica, please do so. Love that dude. Love his content. I'm having all kinds of fun replying to a scammer here right on live. This is awesome. Okay, I replied to the scammer. This is Agent Simmons of Sector 7. Sector 7 is from like the Transformer movies, Agent Simmons. Yeah, it's from the Transformer movies. I have ran a trace of this number and I have a team of agents inbound to your location. Please be aware that scamming the public is a federal crime and subject to prosecution as such. This other person being scammed just says, no. Like, whatever. I freaking hate that. Do you not realize that whenever you get a mass text like that, that it's literally a scam? Um, those who are late to the party, um, please go back and watch this and replay from the beginning. I have dropped like some major bombs and covered like important type stuff. ACR's been here the whole time. He can tell you. Medic up, brother. Called you out on the ready up challenge to get the gear on, how fast you can get the gear on. I'm looking forward to seeing that, bro. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Which I need to get in touch with you offline. My email is on the description of the channel here. So shoot me an email, dude. Wanted to talk to you offline about some stuff, maybe get you on with ACR and I doing Whiskey Wednesdays, do a live stream here, the three of us or the two of us. If ACR can't make it, whatever, we can do it. So we can do a live stream and like get you into the fray with the rest of everything else going on here. I want to bring you into the guild, brother. I want to bring you into the guild. For sure, man. I look forward to that because we got a lot of stuff that lines up, and I see the different stuff you're doing. Like, I love watching the different stuff with medical. Prepared Citizens, he does a lot of medical stuff. Um, I do some medical stuff. I do like my Altoids tin boo boo kit. I actually just made another one. The IFACs, I try and go over some of that stuff. Um, but for me, I'm more of the high speed guy. I do medical enough to keep people alive and keep it going. But you got it, you kind of guys like you and Prepared Citizens, like our guild, we want to default to you guys for that stuff. So I want to get you into that fray and maybe get you in touch with Prepared Citizens and you guys can talk shop. Um, ACR can tell you he's got some really awesome kits. So I want to make all that kind of stuff happen. Be a broker of the guild. I need another chew. Yeah, bad habit, I know, but keeps me from slaying jerkwads. But I hope everybody is having a great day, great morning, afternoon, whatever your time zone is. Um, I am looking at firing up the podcast again here in a couple weeks. Um, do I have anything set up for it? No. I do not know what episode 51 is going to be. Um, yeah, cool. Um, yeah, we'll get that connection made. Jay's a good dude. Um, he has a couple other guys. I'm sure if you've been on his lives and stuff, he has some other guys that are involved in medical stuff too. He's actually gone on and done Grumper Sear Challenge and stuff like that with the other Jay, Modern Minuteman, um, as well as Modern Frontiersman. Um, I'd love to be able to do that stuff, but I just do not have the time. Working full time, running business, getting a business off the ground, doing a podcast, YouTube, family, everything else, taking care of my parents' estate, all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time out of me. So I don't have the time to go do that stuff the way I would like to. Here in a year or two, maybe that'll change. But for now, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, the podcast, I don't know exactly what I'm doing for 51 yet, but it's going to be awesome. It's definitely going to be awesome. I can assure you that. Um, I'm really loving the new format that I'm doing with that. Um, it just feels nice. It feels nice. I made up some music there and threw in like a little kind of intro along with Hoist the Colors. Pat, what's up, brother? Welcome, my Pennsylvania brethren. But I'm really digging the new format. ACR and I will be able to use that studio. I'm basically bringing my podcast studio here to YouTube when we do our live streams. Um, we're going to talk more offline about that and figure out some more stuff. But kind of like what Tactical Muffin Top does. We've been talking about that for a long time, trying to be able to do that stuff. And I've been wanting to do it even since the Warrior Collective days, like 3 years ago with my brother, but we just hadn't done it. Um, I think I've reached to a certain point now that I can do that, and perhaps maybe even bring some of that Spotify crowd that has been following me on Spotify here to YouTube's to follow us here, and interact with all you silly Sallies out there. Um, Not that all of you are silly Sallies. Some of you guys are tactical tater tots, and I love you. But now bring some of that crowd over here. Bring some of you guys over there to that enjoyment, and have a big fun time with it all. Um, I am available on Telegram, on Twix. That's Twitter and X combined to make Twix. Um, Trying to merge everybody together here and expand all of our communities. Medica, ACR, Pat, TMT, Twin Arrows, Krista, Grit and Grace. If anybody I'm forgetting, I'm not saying I love you, and I'm not purposefully omitting you, but everybody, like, share each other's stuff and help lift each other up. Um, we all have content that we put out there that's a little bit different. I said about Modern Frontiersmen releasing that video just to sitting there talking to us, right? Having a conversation like I'm having a conversation with you guys. But it was very impactful. What he said is what I had said on the podcast weeks ago. But we're both saying the same thing. Without us conversing, we're in lockstep. So there's value there and there's merit there. So look at his content, look at my content, and make your decision. Decide. You free think, right? Free think. So, Pat, how are things out your way, my friend? I got a big old shipment of grid stuff coming down your way down to Adams Electric down there. So I don't know what all they got going on, but man, they are buying a grip ton of stuff from us right now. Yeah, we got foggy back and forth a little bit here, and it's been kind of wet and kind of dreary. But fortunately, like, all the crap stuff's fallen, like, held off right now. What are we looking at this week? I haven't even looked at the weather. Ugh. Today, 54 and cloudy. Tomorrow, 64 and rain. Okay, not bad. I'll take it. Tuesday, rain all day and 48 with potential snow showers overnight at 33 degrees. Wednesday, snow. Really? I'm tired of schnare. Thursday, 55 and cloudy. Friday, 66 and cloudy. That's better. Saturday, rain. Go figure. That's why I say about paying attention to your kits and your seasons. Um, every season change on the podcast, I always make sure to tell people, check your batteries, check your gear, check your food, check your meds, check your stuff, make sure it's ready for the next season, as well as downsize for the spring and summer, because you're not going to need all the heavy weather gear. You're going to need lighter stuff, maybe more rain stuff potentially, or less depending on where you live, but up and downgrade your sustainment as you need. um Medic up. I just talked to, yes, ACR, check yourself before you wreck yourself. um Talk about my buddy Mando. He did not have a pill pack, a meds station in any of his bags. When he was here last weekend, I went over his boog bag, as he calls it. He keeps it in his Cadillac. Um, he only had literally a bottle of ibuprofen in his bag. That was it. So I showed him mine, how it breaks down, how I have multiple things in my container, which while I'm here, while you're there, dude, you're the perfect guy to talk to about that kind of stuff. Metal pill pack. So inside here, I have a multiple pack. I have it all labeled up for different things, and I threw cotton balls in there to help keep it from rattling as much, but it still rattles. Anyway, Tylenol, ibuprofen, so I can alternate. Um, Benadryl, because Imodium, because I take cranberry for helping keep away kidney stones, Zyrtec for allergies, Meprazole is an acid reducer should I need to. I know Meprazole robs proteins, but I would rather have that rob some protein from me and make me a little bit more tired than dealing with the acid and puking my guts out because of acid. So I got him to actually break down one of these and get one of these and make an actual pill pack, which I recommend to all of you guys. Make sure you have meds in your kits because it's very important. I carry this in my ruck. This is a bigger one. I carry a smaller one in my daily carry, in my sling bag. Dude, I am totally itching to do like stuff outside. I am not looking forward to going over weed eating and mowing over at my parents' old place. Um, However, I am looking forward to talking to somebody about taking the apple trees that are over at their place and propagating them somehow to bring them here, and I can start two apple trees here. Yeah, like when it comes to pill packs, like I wish I could get my hands on antibiotics to put into my IFAC that didn't cost me like $5,000 for a Z pack. Um, I wish I could have more antibiotics on board, um, antivirals, different things like that. I wish I could get my hands on that stuff. I know like some natural stuff, but it's like the natural stuff doesn't seem to last nearly as long as what, unfortunately, the pharmaceutical shit does because of the chemicals. Um, but even so, if I'm hit, cut, whatever, and I'm needing something, I want to have something. Um, Twin brought up something on his live yesterday when I was listening to it. Said about snake bites. I don't carry a snake bite kit. I am getting snake bite kits because we have snakes and bites happen around here quite frequently. So I want to get a snake bite kit, but me being high speed redneck, I know medical stuff, but I don't know the different toxin levels of the snakes in our region, whether it's a neurotoxin, whether it's a necrotic, what type of snake venom is in our area, and I need to study that. And I'm admitting one of my shortcomings. I'm terrible at knots, and I'm terrible at understanding the different types of snake venom we deal with here. Spider, I can tell you. Snake, I can't. That's something that I'm going to be adding to the kit because it is important. You have the Kevlar gaiters that they can help you from getting bit in the leg. But if you're trying to do something and you don't see a snake and you're trying to set up, pounding a tent stake and there's a snake 2 feet away and he comes over and says, "Nyeh!" and gets you on the arm, what do you do? So knowing that kind of stuff is very important. And I want to beef that up going into the next season. So that's going to be my next medical purchase is snake bite kits. You cannot suck out the venom. Or you can't. They do have the backs that you can put on to pull some of it out, but it doesn't get enough of it out from different EMTs and stuff that I've talked to that have had to actually go out and respond to snakebite victims. Read what he has to say here. As far as hemotoxins, we are actually just supportive in our care. Vast majority of dry bites. That's good to know. That's good to know. My nephew Raven is a ranger at one of the state parks. Um, he's been there for 2 years. Um, they haven't had to deal with any down there since he's been there, thankfully. Um, but out in the greater region, we hear of more of them than just in obviously one state park. Um, we do have copperheads in our area. There are some rattlers, stuff like that. So, like I was saying earlier about knowing ahead of time and having the foresight into things, that's something I need to study up here. So that's one of my short sides. I admit my flaws. I can't. I can tie about like 5 knots really good, but I can't do all the fancy other. Look, I made a goose. I can't do all that origami knot stuff. I don't. I know like clove hitch, square knot, double overhand, running hitch. I can do slip knots. I can do that kind of stuff. But yes, Pat, stay away from the nope rope. Indeed. One of the houses we were looking at whenever we bought this place, they had a lot more land. They had a horse barn. They had a big garage. They had all kinds of cool stuff there. A lot of trees that I was gonna like clear out some and stuff like that. It was like awesome concept, but the house was absolutely like crap. In a room that was going to be my cave, that was off the master bedroom, they had like cabinets built in, but then they had these tanks built into the walls. No lie, there was probably like 30 snakes in this freaking room. They were still in there when we went to do the walk through the house. And our realtor like made tracks up my wife's back. Both of us were carrying. I was like, I'm carrying, but trying to shoot a snake. Eh. But because I didn't have any kind of snake shot or anything, I'm just using 9 mil. And I'm like, yeah, if any of those snakes ever got out and may have laid eggs somewhere, I don't want to deal with that. I don't do nope ropes. They don't brush their teeth, so I don't trust them. Never had a rattlesnake bite on it. Always copperheads. Yeah, copperheads are dicks. When I was a young little metal, um, I went out with my parents fishing. We used to do a lot of fishing out on the Susquehanna River. We took our boat up to this area where there was like a bunch of rocks, like an island almost. Um, and we got up there and we were fishing off the rock and tethered the boat. Well, I started playing around. I got bored fishing. I started playing around with some stuff and whatnot. And I went to move this rock and I reached underneath, picked it up, and threw this rock off. And there was a shit ton of baby copperheads in there. As we know, the baby copperheads are more venomous than what the adults are. And they don't stop; they just keep pumping. Um, yeah, it was a miracle that I didn't get bit. Um, I screamed like a little bitch, and my parents had me on a tether because of being up on this thing. They like tethered me off, so I couldn't go, and my tether was caught around another rock, and I couldn't get away. Well, my parents ended up rescuing me from that situation. I didn't get bit or anything, thankfully, but we beat feet the hell off that island and never went back. So I don't like copperheads because of childhood trauma. Fucking copperheads. Up in the Northwest, we had a lot of rattlesnakes up there. I talked about that whole ordeal with my trainee in the crawl space and the snakes and exterminator and whatever. But like, I just don't do snakes, man. Spiders, I can just squish them. Snakes, they're a little bit more crafty, so and quick. Um, I, I've had a few laughs over the years watching different videos of cats playing with snakes, like booping freaking cobras on the head and vipers and stuff, and booping them on the head and like dodging their freaking strikes and stuff. I'm like, my cats are house lumps compared to that cat. That cat's like freaking ninja. Even my most nimble cat, my tacky cat, I don't know that she could dodge a snake. I don't know if she could do that. A rattler in the middle of the trail, chilling, steps. Ugh. I always see these different pictures up on the Facebooks and Twix and all that stuff of people saying about, hey, when you see it, comment or whatever. And there's a snake in the picture. And it takes me a while to see the snake in the picture. In real life, walking around, I'm always scanning for that kind of stuff. Because one, I don't want to step on a critter. Two, I don't want to step on a critter and get bit. So I can see them in person far better than I can see them in a picture. Even if you like expand the picture, you're looking around, scanning sectors, it's hard. Which brings me to another thing, oddly enough, how my autistic mind works. Scanning while you're walking, not just for critters and snakes and stuff like that, but scanning for traps, early warning devices. You gotta make sure you're scanning for stuff when you're patrolling, when you are trying to go somewhere. As a Minuteman, okay, Minecraft, make sure you're scanning. I talked a little bit about that on podcast. Which episode would it be? I'll tell you exactly. I believe I was talking to you guys a little bit about that during the final countdown. That would be episode 41 over on the Spotify's. I know not everybody has Spotify, but it's free and you can listen for free. Same as here, you can watch and listen for free. So take it for what it's worth. You can watch it and listen to it for nothing. Free 99 for you. But I hope everybody is having a great day. Great morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this in the replay. Um, Glad you guys were able to join me here today and shoot the breeze in the chat. Look forward to hearing from you, Medic. Bobby B, always good to see you, bro. Pat, glad one of my state local boys could join. See, I look for movement, but I also notice pattern. I can pick up pattern quicker than I can pick up movement. Snakes tend to have a pattern, so I pick up the patterns because nature doesn't necessarily have a specific pattern, so I can pick up the patterns pretty quick. Um, my wife will see the colors and she'll see movement just the same. So patterns are another thing to look at, not just in nature when you're trying to avoid snakes, but whenever you are looking for things that don't want to be seen, enemy encampment, things like that. So looking for pattern is beyond even color, um, because they may not be moving, but you can see a pattern. Pattern recognition is important, not just in nature and in the Minuteman life, but in understanding what's going on in the world. Understand your pattern recognitions whenever it comes to wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Know what the next step is in that process moving forward. Always good to know. So I think I'm going to jump off of this here, YouTube's, and get to doing some work because my wife's still out there painting and doing stuff. And I feel like a mook sitting in here talking to a computer. But thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. Um, keep doing the likes, shares, subscribes, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're checking out Pat. Make sure you're checking out ACR. Make sure you're checking out Medic Up. Um, I want to do something here real quick. Medic Up, I'm going to give you a blue wrench, brother. I am going to bring Medic Up into the blue wrench crew. Um, Sounds good, brother. I look forward to hearing from you. Yeah, I, yet again, no trolls. Are there no more? Are there no more trolls to be had by the Viking axe? I guess not. They just don't like me. And that's fine. They can stay away. But you guys take care. Keep it real. Stay vigilant. Stay blessed. Defer to that ultimate tactical manual I talked about earlier, the field guide to life. Defer to that. Now, I will not catch you guys next weekend. Next Sunday, I will be offline observing Resurrection Day, but I will be following up throughout the week. Y'all will be seeing me. I'll be in live chats and all that kind of stuff. You know me. Anyway, until the next time, metal out.